The conference room hummed with the restless buzz of voices, a chaotic symphony of business jargon and half-hearted laughs. I barely noticed, my eyes flicking to my phone as its screen flared to life with an incoming call. Ethan. I slipped out into the hallway expecting the usual routine, his casual "how's the trip?" or "when are you back?" The kind of small talk that had become our default. But when I answered, his voice sliced through the line, cold and dripping with smugness. "I'm divorcing you," he declared. Like he'd just won some twisted game. "Oh, and I sold the apartment. Figure out where you're crashing from now on." For a split second, the air vanished from my lungs. The sheer nerve of it, the shameless, grinning audacity, almost made me laugh. My grip tightened on the phone as his words sank in, sharp and venomous. "You sold the apartment?" I asked, forcing my voice to stay steady, refusing to let him hear me waver. "Yeah," he said with a dry chuckle. "Lila and I need the cash to kick off our new life. She deserves more than that cramped little hole anyway." Lila. The name hit like a slap. Though I'd suspected for months something or someone was lurking in the shadows of his late nights and sudden work trips, the distance between us had grown too wide to ignore. But hearing her name tossed out so carelessly, like I was the outsider in their story, ignited a fire in my gut. "Sounds perfect," I shot back, my tone cool and clipped. No way was I handing him the satisfaction of watching me break. I'm Sophia, and until that call I'd convinced myself I'd married a man worth trusting. Ethan and I had 6 years behind us. Not always flawless, but I'd believed in us. That apartment, a snug 2-bedroom in the city, was our prize. I'd fallen for it the moment I saw it. Exposed brick. Sunlight spilling through the windows, a tangible piece of everything we'd built. Or so I thought. Looking back, the cracks were there. Ethan's shrugs when I asked about money. His dazzling smiles that brushed off my worries. I chalked it up to confidence, not manipulation. Big mistake. The rest of the day blurred past. I sat through meetings nodding on cue, while my brain churned. Ethan thought he'd checkmated me, yanked the rug out, sold my home and waltzed off scot-free. But he didn't know the ace up my sleeve. The apartment deed had been mine alone for months. We'd refinanced earlier that year and I'd quietly transferred it into my name. Ethan, too lazy to read the fine print, had signed off with a shrug. His sloppiness was about to bite him hard. By the time I got back to my hotel that night, shock had morphed into steel. I wasn't about to sob or grovel. Ethan wanted a war? Bring it on, I'd win. My first move was a call to Mia, my lawyer and oldest friend. I laid it all out, voice calm despite the adrenaline pumping through me. "He sold the apartment," she echoed, incredulous. "Does he even realize he can't do that without you?" "Apparently not," I said, a smirk tugging at my lips. "He's already dreaming of spending the money with Lila." Mia's laugh was sharp. "Oh, he's in for a hell of a wake-up call. That sale's dead in the water. You've got sole ownership. If he's pocketed a dime, he's looking at fraud." Fraud. The word sparked a thrill of victory. "What's our play?" I asked. "We'll inform the buyer the deal's off," Mia said, all business. "Then we hit Ethan with a letter spelling out his mess. If he pushes back, court's waiting." Hanging up. A strange peace settled over me. Ethan thought he'd left me scrambling, but he just handed me the upper hand. The rest of the trip, I buried myself in work, shoving emotions aside and channeling every ounce of energy into what came next. His betrayal stung, but the thought of watching his smug face fall, that fueled me. On the flight home, I was locked and loaded, ready to face him, shred his lies and rewrite my story. This wasn't just about winning. It was about seizing control. Touching down. I called Mia as I yanked my suitcase from the carousel. "I'm back. What's next?" "Buyer's been notified," she said, crisp and efficient. "They're pissed at Ethan and ready to back us up. I emailed him the letter this morning, lays out the illegal sale, your ownership, and the fraud risk. No reply yet, but he's probably fuming." Let him, I thought, a grin creeping up. When I walked into the apartment, it felt different, quiet, still Ethan's. His jacket slung over chairs, shoes scattered by the door, but the vibe had shifted. I dropped my bag, steeling myself for the showdown. Sure enough, Ethan stormed in that night, face flushed, clutching his phone like a weapon. "What the hell is this?" he yelled, waving Mia's letter. "You're saying I can't sell the apartment? It's half mine." "No, Ethan," I said, arms crossed, voice ice cold. "It's not. The deed's been mine for months. You can't sell what you don't own." He froze, confusion twisting into rage. What are you talking about? I grabbed the deed from a file, holding it up. After the refinance, I transferred it to my name. You signed off, too busy to check the details, right? He gaped, then sneered. You think you're so clever. The deal's done, you'll look like an idiot when this crashes. I didn't flinch. The sale's void, Ethan. The buyer knows, and they'll sue if you don't cough up the cash. Spent any of it yet? That's a deeper hole. His bravado flickered. You're bluffing, he muttered. Eyes darting away. I'm not, I said, stepping closer. You've treated me like a doormat for years, but I've been watching. Now you're screwed. Over the next few days, Ethan unraveled. Angry calls turned to panicked voicemails, pleading 1 minute, threatening the next. Mia kept the gears turning. The buyer ditched the deal, livid at Ethan's scam, and divorce papers were prepped. You're solid, Sophia, Mia told me. He's got nothing. Signatures are all we need. It was a relief, but also a gut punch. I'd let Ethan steamroll me for years, swallowing his arrogance because fighting felt pointless. Now I was done compromising. My best friend, Jenna, swung by one night with wine and moral support. We boxed Ethan's junk, his tacky ties, his overpriced sneakers, stacking it in a corner. How's he holding up? She asked, smirking as she tossed a tie in. Badly, I said, laughing. He still thinks he can charm his way out. Not this time. Good, she said, slamming the box shut. He doesn't deserve a square inch of this place, or you. She was right. I'd carried our marriage alone, propping up his ego while he took the credit. Now I had a crew in my corner and it changed everything. The final blow landed when Ethan showed up with Lila. I was at the dining table, flipping through papers when they strutted in like they owned it. Lila smirked, arm hooked in his. So this is where we're staying, she purred, entitlement oozing. I stood, heart racing but steady. No, Ethan was staying here. You, Lila? You're not. Her smile slipped. What's this? Ethan snapped. This, I said, gesturing around, is my home. Not yours. Not hers. And definitely not your little love nest. You can't do this, he roared. You're being insane. Insane? I fired back. Insane as thinking you could sell my place, pocket the money. And I'd just shrug. You're lucky I haven't pressed charges yet. Lila's eyes narrowed. Wait, what's she saying? She hissed at Ethan. You said this was yours, that you sold it. It's complicated. He stammered. I'll fix it. No, I will, I cut in. He tried to sell what's mine. The deed's been in my name for months. Sales void, and he's facing fraud. Lila's jaw dropped. Fraud? You lied about the money too. Lila, Ethan flailed, but she was done. Save it, she snapped, storming out, heels clicking like gunfire. I smirked as the door slammed. Guess you're flying solo now, I said. Let's wrap this up. He sank onto the couch, head in hands. Sophia, please. I messed up. Don't do this. You did this, I said, tossing divorce papers on the table. Sign them. Quick. We're done. You hate me that much, he croaked. Hate. I laughed, bitter and free. I pity you. You had it all, me. This home, and you torched it for your ego. He stared, defeated. Fine. I'll go. Smart choice, I said, opening the door. End of the day, Ethan. Take your crap and don't test me. Mia's ready for round 2. He shuffled out, coat in hand, not meeting my eyes. I locked the door behind him, new key, new start. The silence was loud, but it was mine. For the first time in years, I could breathe. Jenna came over that night with takeout and wine. He's really gone, she asked, sprawling on the couch. Gone for good, I said, pouring glasses. Gave him till tonight. He didn't fight. To new beginnings, she toasted, and kicking ass. To never being a pushover again, I added, clinking her glass. The weight was lifting. Over the next week, I reclaimed the place, shifted furniture, hung art I loved, erased Ethan's chaos. It wasn't just decor, it was me staking my claim. Mia kept me posted. Fraud charges dropped since the buyer backed off, but divorce was smooth sailing. You're free soon, she said. That word free hit deep. Ethan's text trickled in, apologies, guilt trips, desperation. I screwed up, can we talk? One read. You're ruining me, another whined. I didn't bite. He'd made his bed. A month later, life was unrecognizable. The apartment glowed with my vibe, warm, alive mine. Divorce finalized, no drama. I found an old photo of us once, smiling, hopeful. Good days, sure, but buried under his garbage. I stashed it away, it didn't own me anymore. Jenna and I celebrated at a rooftop bar. You're shining, she said, cocktail raised. Single looks good. It's not single, I grinned. It's freedom. No more living for someone else. We toasted and I felt it pride. I'd faced the worst and come out on top. The apartment was my victory, but I wouldn't stay forever. A new place loomed on the horizon, untainted by Ethan's ghost. Until then I'd savor this win. That night, curled up with tea, city lights winking outside, I thought of Ethan's smug laugh on that call. He'd been so sure he'd crushed me. Now I smiled. His arrogance sank him. My strength saved me. This wasn't just a divorce, it was my rebirth. My rules, my happiness, my life. Finally truly free.